mega familiar with. As a reminder, I was just going to say we have a roundtable on May 13th. That's it. That's all our news.
Okay.
Um, all our
For
new,
today.
all our new news for today. Um, there's our second. And then I will have Stephanie kick off.
Okay. So, thank you guys for coming. Um, this is, in case you didn't get the memo, a partner showcase with our partner, Mayo Studios. Um, and Mayo Studios is a family business that has been around since 1955, which is just extremely impressive to me. Today we have brother and sister, Mickey and Tony Mayo. I'm going to read their bios to you. It's all very impressive, I have to say, especially to me, who is an illustration agent. I'm just like, wow, maybe I should rethink things and become a photography agent. Because honestly, their as a resource, their space and what they can do seems really amazing to me. So Mickey grew up working summers at the family business, learning about photography, set building, and design. He went on to study graphic design at Carnegie Mellon and later worked for a design firm in Boston. In 2007, he was lured back to New York to join the family business, and since then has worked to bring about the brand conscious approach to productions at Mayo Studios that persists today. He lives in the city with his wife, Erin, very lovely ceramic artist, and their two children. His sister Tony joined the studio in 2014 and quickly discovered a passion for client work that has defined the 11 years since. As account director, she brings a relationship-driven approach to every opportunity and enjoys years-long connections with her clients. That's so nice. Her background in real estate laid a strong foundation for business development with fast-paced experience in learning to listen and understand what a client is asking for and how to best deliver it. Having grown up studying theater and acting, Tony loves spending time at the studio exploring the prop shelves and ever-changing sets, and developed an early appreciation for the art of building a world from the ground up. Outside of the studio, Tony's a long-distance runner, an 11-time marathoner, and a running coach.
Wow.
All honestly super impressive.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, Mickey and Tony.
Thank you for that.
Of course, thank you.
Well, it's nice to meet all of you. I've met some of you before, but I'm Tony, and thanks for the intro and the background. If I get through a conversation without mentioning that I'm a runner, it just wasn't a conversation, so I'm glad we got that out of the way immediately. But yeah, we're Mayo Studios, and excited to tell you all about us. We joined AMA a little over a year ago, and it just felt like the right time because our studio, we've been in production for so long, and we've always been in this world, but we've been in this world extremely quietly. And we have this incredible space where we've always handled internal production, and only in recent years have we kind of opened our door for photographers, for outside designers, and for us to have more of a space that's really a resource for the world and the community. And so, I have to imagine that so many of you have not seen our space or heard about our space, so excited to kind of give you a little bit more info. And you might recognize these folks. This is Mickey and I work together. We're the third generation of the studio, and I'm the account director. We're a very small team. I'm involved in almost every project at inception and kind of just overseeing the lifespan of any project and any client relationship. Um, and I work very closely with Mickey. He and I share an office, and I will let him introduce himself.
Hi there. I am Mickey, and I'm wearing basically the same outfit that I'm wearing in that photo, so you probably recognize me. I am the creative director here, which, depending on the day, can mean many different things, but I really do get involved in just about every single project, regardless of how hands-on our we are in the production side or not. But we really do, we are excited about, being part of the AMA and really now connecting with you all and trying to just make sure everyone's aware of the resources and things that we have to offer here. So again, thanks to everyone for making time to take a look. So zooming way out, what are we? What do we offer? We are a long-standing creative production agency. We have been at this for a very long time, meaning we have been involved in the creation of images for decades. That has meant producing photo and video shoots. And largely our area of focus, as you'll see, has been on kind of the world of interiors. And our clients have largely been in brands that are manufacturers for home, retailers for home, and some designers as well. And so therefore, we've always had a really interesting production space, and our current space is the most beautiful one yet. It's really a perfect place to do large scale production. And we'll show you some images of that. In addition, in the space, we do have a set shop. So that's another really unique calling card for us. It's something we really want to make sure that this whole community is aware of, because we really invite you all to come and talk to us about your set needs. The other thing too, of course, as I think Jen mentioned, Stephanie too, that we are a family business. Tony and I, again, work together, but we are doing this after two generations prior. So our grandfather actually founded a studio back in 1955 in Manhattan on 19th Street, back in the photo district in those days, and quickly discovered that he could have a business that was producing images for clients using a small, I think it was like a 2,000 square foot space. And also kind of quickly got into this interior home products world, things like bedding and textiles and some furniture as well. But again, shooting it all in his studio space in the city. This is an original business card of his on the top, which is really, really, I still have, which is really, really nice. That's a photo of our grandfather and our grandmother, who then later worked together actually in the business. My grandmother was very good with numbers, and she did all the bookkeeping for the business back in those days. And then on the bottom right, you can kind of see what started to happen. We started to get involved in catalog photography back in the day when everything was a catalog, and everything that was home. There was always there were a handful of places in the country that would do work like this, and our studio was one of them. And so fast forward to the 70s, our father joined his parents sort of begrudgingly when he was on track to become a rock star, and that was his passion and what he still to this day loves. But he joined the business and also then helped to grow it very successfully, bringing on major retail clients, and to expanding in what is now Hudson Yards, is where they had their next studio space, in a beautiful building, really nice loft space there. After our grandfather passed away, our mom joined our dad, and then they together sort of really spearheaded a new era of growing even further. And that was kind of the beginning of a transition from a few things, print to digital, catalog to the beginnings of what e-com was about to be. And even in photography, going from film photography, which as a kid I can remember very well, going to digital photography. So they were actually the ones that made that transition at the time. Again, knowing that we had our own production team, had to switch over all of our equipment from traditional film world to embracing digital. And so ever since the beginning, again, sort of maintaining this focus on home and interior products, home textiles products, that was very much the focus of the production. I joined in 2007, and with a design background, was really interested in trying to figure out ways that we can really begin to work with clients where brands were becoming to sort of, it wasn't so much this opaque thing anymore. Brands began to take more ownership of who they are and who they were, and needed partners to help see that vision through. And that, I think, is still something that we do today. and interpreting those ideas and those visions. So we still like to get involved in that level, and that's kind of where I think stepped in to a degree. And now, of course, Tony being here as well, really spearheading the face of the company to our clients and managing those relationships, and even honestly getting involved in projects too, to really make sure that we're hearing what the client needs and always staying focused and not just on our own creative ideas, but on what the client really is looking for and keeping us all in line in that way. Our parents are still, involved in sort of an advisory role, but Tony and I really do run the business on a day-to-day level. This is sort of highlights, I think, our area of focus and expertise. And again, if you can just look at this all through the lens of understanding that we've come from this world of where everything was our own production. Everything we were sort of doing was for a brand in the home and interior space. So I think our client list kind of reflects that. I mean, those are the brands that still know us and trust us to help see through executing photo and video production and increasingly CGI production for their marketing efforts. So another thing too, I guess I can say is that perhaps in the beginning, it was very much about products and it was about how do I create an image for my packaging or how do I put an image in a catalog. Increasingly, the work that we are involved in has more to do with kind of brand campaigns or brand messaging and the evergreen content that really speaks to who that entity is. And sure, of course, we're still there for product launches and collections and things like this, but I think that's another part of the evolution is that marketing on the whole and knowing, of course, that the assets need to live in a wider array of environments. That's also expanded the kind of services that we've offered. This is just a quick little video that gives you a sense of the kind of productions that we are doing here in the studio and the ones that we are running internally. I will say too that I think this could be of interest to the AMA is just to understand that when we are producing shoots these days, we are building out the teams and therefore we are selecting and hiring photographers. We are working with stylists. We are looking for really everyone to fill all the production roles. I mean, we really are producers, we're art directors, we're kind of running the project, but just to make it clear, I mean, we are always looking for talented people to come in and actually the artists whom, we need and want to kind of step in and help make these ideas take shape.
Oh, this is the studio when we first moved in, and we didn't drop anything on the floor, and it looked perfect and pristine. It does not always look this pristine, but it was funny. Just now, I was thinking about the fact that just thinking about like the evolution of the studio is like the early days studios that like our parents ran, for instance, in the city, you couldn't bring a client there. I mean, they had so much production going on and, 8 sets running at once, but it was a different time. And a client would ask for an image, and then magically that image would appear to them. And they didn't need to see anything that was happening behind the scenes. And the way that the studio operates now really is we had to build this out knowing that, of course, clients are going to be on set and, maybe influencers are going to be on set, but also that the behind the scenes seems now to be equal parts important to people that they're capturing alongside. So much of the design of the space when we moved into this particular studio in 2018 was just thinking about like how is the experience of the studio going to be for everyone who's coming there. There's certain practical things that are awesome about this space. We absolutely had to have high ceilings. We absolutely had to make sure that we could shoot photo and video, that multiple teams could be running concurrently, but also just like how can this space be comfortable for many people and how can we actually create spaces that are all for production, like the kitchen? We had an event a few weeks ago. We had a woman come in who's a baker, and she was also just capturing content. But that's also just every day where our team eats lunch. I mean, that is our studio kitchen. So everything was sort of like thoughtfully designed to not just be a space, but also be a space for production and a comfortable space for really, really big teams. It always blows my mind how large a production team is for almost everything. But the studio, I mean, we have teams of three and then we have teams of 70. So it kind of runs the gamut. And we started something called like our house sets, which I think has been a really, really big piece of what we offer photographers currently is house sets are existing sets. If you were to come to the studio today, this set we call it the townhouse. It is standing, and anyone who needs to shoot anything and they simply need a very traditional ornate set, they're not incurring any cost to build anything. They're not reinventing the wheel. This is ready to go. And we will change out house sets every 9 to 12 months, let's say. And it's been very successful where in the past we only did custom set work. House sets seem to be kind of a solution for people. It's more cost effective and people can just kind of come and rent it by the day. So this particular set, we've had fashion shoots on, we've had shoots for rugs. It's kind of been everything is going to be a kitchen in a few weeks. So it's
Can I ask a quick question about that one?
for sure.
Or actually, all these can hardware be added, swapped out, and sort of details and customization like that, or do you try not to do that, like
So
doorknobs and window things and stuff?
yeah, that's a good question. And I should have brought that up because it's always a question about house sets is like, what are the variations that we can do? And we try to allow for some level of customization. For instance, like the townhouse, we can add doorknobs, we can add hardware, hang
Mm-hmm.
curtains. The
Mm-hmm.
white flat part of this wall is paintable. Sometimes something that we'll do is we'll just create a fly wall. And then we can float that in if you need like a wall with some specific wallpaper or something like that. And we also, these sets, when we design them, it's always designed to be shot from as many angles as possible so that this can be, I mean, I would say the overarching experience of the studio is being in multiple locations in the same day so that you can
Mm-hmm.
shoot you're not going to three different
Without
locations
traveling.
with
Yeah.
shooting. Exactly. So, so that's, always in the back of our minds when we're creating these is like, how can this actually turn into three different places? And so often people will come to me and they have a project and they're like, Tony, I need 6 sets. And it turns out they need 2 sets. We just have to figure out with them, how do we use this for production? We're not building a real home. Although I will say our carpenter who's been with us forever, he's actually been at the studio longer than I have. If it were up to him, he would build a home every time we have a project. He is,
Not very cost
um,
effective though.
yeah, no, I have to. Sometimes he and Mickey can get very carried away, and let's get the nicest possible. Let's get like designing a kitchen for them is designing their real kitchens for home, and we have to remember that this is for production. But um, yeah, the house sets are awesome because so many details go into these that we wouldn't necessarily put into a set that someone just needs for a day or something like that.
Yeah, I just want to underscore too. I mean, set building is so much at the heart of what we do. It really is honestly it's a lot of the rationale for kind of why our studio even exists today. We're really not, as Tony joked about kind of the white box studio. It's really, yes, people come here and they use the space because it's a beautiful loft, but really, I would say most of the time, the shoots that are happening here are happening on a set. So it could be a one wall and a floor. It doesn't have to be reinventing, a whole Versailles or something. It really is just a way we have, because this is a capability in-house and we have so much experience and a lot of pieces that exist in our inventory. We can put a set together very quickly, cost effectively, and then the house sets, as Tony's been talking about, are really there to be like a turnkey solution. So if you had a shoot next week and you said, "Hey, I have a team that wants to come in," we do have something that we can offer right away. We also take feedback too, by the way. Like if we work together and someone said, I often have a need for a space like this or something that feels like that. we're totally open and we like to sort of put things up that people need and want. And that's been a big driver for the house sets.
Do you ever do actual kitchens that feel more like homey kitchens? You do. Okay.
We've done some amazing kitchens.
Mm.
Some of our clients actually they are the makers of things like kitchen faucets. And
Mm.
so, for example, we will build working kitchens with running water.
Wow.
We do all of that kind of production work as well to get to that level. Bathrooms too, they're tricky, but we do those. This is actually the shop that's here in the space. So it's literally like on the opposite end of the studio from where I'm sitting, but it is here, and therefore there's so much efficiency. We're not trucking materials around. We're not building pieces of a modular set and then constructing them and having to cover up the gaps later. I mean, everything is built in place and it looks finished and it really feels like a location. This is a kind of a cool, I'll just sort of, we can sort of talk over this, but this is a time lapse of one of those more complex bathroom sets that I was just mentioning. So you can kind of see a little bit of what goes into it, the fact that it is all happening here in place. And then you have the benefit of being able to back the camera up 20 feet. That is kind of the beauty of the whole setup is that once the set is ready, you really do have a ton of room to spread out. And everybody spreads out like crazy. Tony and I laugh because this massive 20,000 square foot studio, people are like tucking their luggage and their bags in our hallway by our office and just using every space that they can. But it is a really comfortable place. I mean, we frequently have 40, 50 people here at a time, and you don't feel crowded. You don't feel like you're on top of each other, and there's space for clients and space for the crew. It's very comfortable in that way.
And for the merchandise.
Yes.
That's true. Bringing all the stuff in. Yeah.
Yeah, all the stuff, which can really, be hard.
Yeah.
There's almost no way to actually say enough about that too. It is kind of it's a part of every tour that we give in the studio, which is to say that we have our own dedicated freight elevator. We have a drive-in loading dock. So we have had tractor trailers. We've had 26-foot long box trucks constantly and pallets worth of goods that are being delivered. And as you all know very well, that is just not as easy to do when you're out at a residence somewhere.
Very hard. And we've been there and, as you know, video's been on in one bay and stills in another, and all the props can be shared, all the wardrobe shared, the models shared, it's just great.
Yeah, and speaking of props, that's good segue. We have always had our own internal collection of props, and so this is just a snapshot of what is here. And now we have so many pieces, and we've just sort of opened this up essentially as part of this. Anyone who comes in with a production and brings a shoot here, you have full access to all of this. We don't charge individually for anything. You're just welcome to use our collection. We also invite stylists to come in advance and kind of flag pieces that they want to use, and we can even have someone pull pieces in advance of your production. The other thing that's really kind of amazing, and honestly a big reason for our selecting the space that we're in, is that we have neighbors who are truly in the prop business, and you probably know of them. Prop and Spoon is right across the hall from us here on the third floor. And then Newell Props is on the first floor of this building. So cumulatively, there's probably 150,000 square feet of just props in this building. Those relationships are great. A stylist doesn't have to fear, trucking things around and covering that cost. And then even last minute, if you need something, again, you can just pull from our collection or run over to our friends across the hall.
And this is where we're located in Long Island City. We've been in Long Island City for since '99. We moved from the city to Long Island City, and so we're right by a lot of trains, easy to get to from Manhattan. We have found that people are super comfortable coming here. A lot of people who maybe have been shooting in the city previously, the location is not a big mental hurdle. Mickey and I are constantly at a war of how to describe where the studio is. I like to say it's just north of Brooklyn, and Mickey likes to say it's just right outside of the city. So you can tell which borough he and I both live in. And so much about it too is just like the place has to be accessible. It has to be a place where people want to be. So we just um, it has been funny since opening the doors to outside production and photographers and inviting more people into our space. It's been funny because we don't have a lot of rules that I think maybe photographers are used to, like, for instance, like the props. Like, I think a lot of people were used to getting charged per prop. Like, well, what if I have to pull this lamp too? And or what if, I bring my dogs or whatever? Like, we're used to production. We know that things change all the time. So I think that has made it a really comfortable place just because we can anticipate how much cannot be anticipated when running a project. So I think that a lot of photographers feel really comfortable knowing that, we're super flexible. If we have any like grip that we can help out with and people need support, we have that production support. And always welcome dogs to the studio. I would just underline that point.
So again, I do want to call out, especially, for this group in particular, I think we want to just make it so clear that what we're really excited about is what's been happening in ever since we have opened the doors to having um, productions come in here that we're not running, but we're essentially hosting and we're facilitating in whatever way we can. We're trying to say, take a look at what our capabilities are in-house, make use of our sets, engage us to build you a set, but, by all means, like bring a full production in and let us sort of be the platform for you to do that. And then, these are just meant to show you some examples of some recent projects. We've had some really nice shoots, really worked with some amazing people. That's also been just so nice, is to meet so many talented people and some really professional people who just come in and use the space in ways that we just haven't had, a reason to or an opportunity to. And so just to see new things happening has been really, really cool. And again, just excited about seeing all the ways that people use our sets. And then we thought we could kind of just run through, like, what does it mean to actually call us up and work with us? Like, what happens when you have to talk to Tony? I mean, that's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
Uh, no, but I mean, like, so we can just share a little bit about like the process, like what are some of the things we would want to know? What are some of the things we might ask? And by all means, too, if you all have questions in any of this, please jump in. Um, a lot of times the set, as we touched on already, is kind of a focal point of the conversation. That's a lot of times a big reason why someone might be here. So we're talking about things like, are you using one of our house sets? Are you asking us to build you a set? If we're building something for you, we try to be, kind of snap into a process that works. We're definitely used to like design by committee. We're used to, having to kind of go through a few rounds of approvals for different things like sending out swatches if you want to have, say, a wood stain, for integrated into a set. We understand that there's a process there. Um, we have a lot of inventory of things, so we can certainly show for cost effectiveness. If someone says, "Hey, I'm looking for a brick wall," we might say, "Hey, we actually have this brick wall. Would you like to use this?" We try to be clever. We try to be resourceful and recycle the pieces that we have. And if we don't have something, we generally know where to get it. Some of our clients are very prescriptive and they say, here's my document, please build me this, go, I need it done in a week. Like, thank you. And that's fine. And others are collaborative and need help and want help. And we are very comfortable jumping in creatively too, if that's desired. And so that's just, it can kind of go either way. Logistics, we kind of talked about. Pat mentioned, like sort of the it's like the less glamorous side of all this, but it is sort of the critical piece, which is whether that means it's product, whether it's wardrobe, whether it's gear coming in. We have a studio coordinator, Kate, who's amazing and would be involved in any project that we're doing to help with logistics. Like, when is this arriving? Are we keeping it overnight for you? We just figure out the space and how to make everyone's lives as easy as possible. And also we're always here. So it's like if someone wants to come out and take a tour, we have photographers walking through. They want to look at the electrical, or if someone wants to come and check out the ceiling height for themselves. I mean, whatever it is, we welcome having guests. We want to give tours. Once someone steps in here too, we feel like it's really the best way to start to understand what's possible. And everyone comes in, and I think they just get really excited, I think, about what you can do here in the space.
It's one big space. It's not divided up. So it's whatever, like each of those three sets, you could see them from each other, essentially.
That's a really good point. And I realize I don't have a slide in here with that, but we could always share that with you too. It's basically, it is one large space, as you've said.
Mm.
We do use a variety of techniques to subdivide as needed. We've used large scale, curtain dividers,
Mhm.
also built sort of temporary walls to divide space. And increasingly, when we're shooting video that requires live audio to be captured, we typically strongly recommend that someone does a full buyout because it's
Right.
very hard to control the sound otherwise.
But you do, if it's not video, you do sometimes have multiple shoots going on in the same space. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, and that works out just fine. And again, people are really comfortable, and we've worked through um, the lay of the land to kind of give everyone their own space and being comfortable and having
Mhm.
just enough room for everybody.
Okay.
Props we kind of talked about, but again, it's never a shortage of props here. And then because we're talking about the AMA, I think it's worth mentioning too that we are really happy to extend special pricing to really everyone that is connected with AMA. And so we recommend that, please, for anyone who, maybe we don't know yet, for them to just mention that, hey, I'm coming here via AMA, and we would be happy to try to make something work that would be, very, very different from our standard pricing.
Great. I
Great.
actually would love, I'm gonna, will you send us this deck afterwards or a version of it or something? Because I would love to have one of my photographers come by and see it.
Vanessa, we're also recording this presentation, so you can
Okay,
forward this once
send it
it's
to
up
her.
on the site.
Okay, cool. She'd probably like to come and also look at the prop.
I've
Yeah,
taken the tour. The tour is great. I
Yeah,
mean, the set
totally.
shop is really
I
unbelievable.
have also taken the tour, and I love it there.
Totally. Yeah, it looks incredible.
I was gonna say I'm actually wanted to let you guys know I'm planning to move there now that I've seen it. No, but honestly, I don't rep anybody who does anything like this, but just as a New Yorker, like I know a lot of people who are always looking for lots of different things, including venue, and I wanted to ask about that because you sort of uh, tiny like insinuated or touched, but I can't, I mean, I would assume, I shouldn't assume anything, but I did want to ask if your space, any part of it or all of it is available as a venue, like for a wedding or I don't know, it's just good to know about.
Yeah, the space definitely has been a venue, largely for industry events,
Yeah.
or like product launches. But we've had some very interesting, like out there activations and experiential things that required set building that were really fun. And so the space really can be everything. We had this unbelievable project last year that I'll just really quickly mention, that was sort of its own standalone event. It was a Secret Santa speakeasy, and we built out this whole hidden world behind a janitor's closet. And you would go inside, you're just in this closet, and then all of a sudden you're in Santa's universe. And
Sounds like
That is very
Narnia.
cool. Yeah.
yeah.
it was like
Wow.
the ultimate dream of this space because it was an actor and he came into the space and just like realized all of the possibilities there. I mean, we didn't have a Santa's workshop when he walked in, but we had a space and we had the team to build this thing, and it was so great, and it just sort of opened up the doors of possibilities. We've done events for. One of the biggest events we did was there's a very premium kitchen cabinet brand, Isla Porter, that was launching a year and a half ago. And they had a huge photo shoot at our studio. We built out three really oversized kitchens that really were fully realized kitchens that interior designers designed. And then we had this event with 150 people in the industry at that event, and they were able to open the drawers and really like be
Wow.
within the cabinets. And, it was the very first time so many people were experiencing that product, and what a cool way to experience it. And it was sort of like being in 200 Lex, but in Long Island City.
Yeah.
It was really awesome.
But that sort of leads me to my next question, which um do you have competition? Like this just seems so unbelievable to me that I would think that you're other than like a oh my God, what's it called? Like Kaufman or one of the huge set studios. But for a commercial photography studio, it sounds unparalleled. What do I know? But I'm asking just because I think if my inclination is right and you don't really have competition, apples to apples, it's really good for everyone to know that.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel like in New York, there are not studios like ours. There are a lot of beautiful studios in New York. And I would say our biggest competition is like Airbnbs. If a person wants to go on location.
Yes, but I mean, again, I'm no expert, but like to shoot a bathroom where I mean, that's such a complicated thing to shoot, I'm sure, because you've got all
Yeah,
those
the only thing,
angles
yeah, yeah.
And
I
I
could
think
think of
and
Gary's
you've got the
Loft is the
props
only
right
one.
there and you've
Yeah.
got the shop. Like, I
where
mean,
Yeah.
what
where
more
this
could
really shines, in my opinion, is uh, there are studios that sell themselves as quote home studios where clients feel like there'll be some things there that lean into a space that is kind of location adjacent. However, they have, in my opinion, have not been able to maintain very well. And there is not a lot of flexibility there. And there is certainly not the ability to pull back on a bathroom like that. I mean, so I think that it's unique in that it really does speak to what clients need today, which is a lot of flexibility. They need variations. They want architectural details that are, for part of the day, one look, mid-century modern, and then they want to switch to a townhouse. I mean, you just cannot run back and forth to an Airbnb or a Pure Space or a anything in with any kind of and maintain a shot list, right? So I think it's becoming increasingly important to, bring options like this to clients because you just would have to build out these crazy decks and have them like pour over multiple spaces. It's just getting harder and harder from a production point of view to make a a vision come true with a client. So it's a really good point, Stephanie. They're just, there's not anything out there like this.
I also was going to ask another question, another good selling point. I'm assuming for any shoot that I've been on, and you've mentioned about the suitcases, like how close? I mean, not having to get in or out of the city. Like, yes, okay, fine, you're out of the city, out of Manhattan, but the benefit is that your proximity to LaGuardia and JFK seems really good, right?
You mean, Stephanie, you want to know if your chopper can land on the roof at Mayo? Yes, it
Well,
can.
I'm that, but I mean, just if a client is having to go directly to or from a shoot
Yeah.
to or from the airport, I mean, that's like a great thing to be able to say
Yeah.
Yeah. LaGuardia is 20 minutes away. It's very, very
with
convenient.
no bridge and tunnel traffic. Like you're already out there.
Yes, yes, we have many people either coming or going as part of that schedule. Um, and then just to also go back, Stephanie, to your question about do you have competition? I was going to just give a little background to say that like when we were kids, our parents and maybe even during the time our grandfather was still alive, there were a couple of competitor studios in New Jersey, and to the point where there was actually like a very informal softball game that was being played between the studios. So it was like a friendly
That's
softball
cute.
game,
Nice.
like between those kind of studios. But fast forward, I mean, as we all know, times have changed. There really are fewer resources, and really, um, I think we're just very proud of the fact that we're here to move this place forward, and we're still at our core doing a lot of things that are still touching on where we started, but also evolving with technology. And very importantly, especially with this group, is to say that we've just opened our doors fully to say, like, please, come to us with new kinds of productions. Bring, tell us what you're hearing and what kinds of projects you're being faced with, and how can we help? I mean, that's been a big part of our ability to adapt and to evolve and move forward, is to sort of just again
There's
connect,
also, I
connect.
feel like there's also, I'm just trying to think of idea, like, we're agents, so we think a lot about like how ways to make money. Another thing that occurred to me, I used to have a lovely woman working for me who is a theater person, and she's involved in a lot of local independent, like not even off, but off Broadway, like but really indie theater stuff. And they always need to find rehearsal spaces, and they're usually at night or on like it's not normal hours, and they need. I mean, oh my God, if they could have a room, like they pay for it, but if those kind of people, like if that's something you got, I don't know, maybe that's too far off the beaten, whatever, but there are groups that have money that need places to
Mhm.
spread out and rehearse. Anyway, just a thought.
Yeah, actually, I mean, that type of thinking actually like leads really well into, I think, the last thing we want to talk about. But I mean, it is very much, we look at this space and we know what's possible there. And we also, I mean, I feel like there is so much more untapped. Like I think that the space makes sense for so many different types of people. It makes sense for creators of whatever it is that they're creating. So literally this month we just launched AYO, very much for this purpose. We want to really create more of a community that has access to this space, that can have this and feel, that this is their studio, that this is where they can create. And we're thinking of creating a membership that a person, of different tiers, if you're a photographer, you would, have time out on set to do test shoots and to develop your portfolio, or even, a client project. And then, of course, like enjoy just the resources that exist in the studio. We had an awesome event 2 weeks ago, kind of for the launch of AYO, and it was super well attended. Everyone seemed so excited about it. Um, in particular, photographers are really excited about it. They're really excited because the higher tier of membership would also allow for equipment storage, which seems like obviously in New York available, storage is needed. So we're really excited about this, and I just feel like there is such a need for community and networking, and for people to be able to just collaborate more. So we're kind of excited about AYO's future.
Well, you'll have to let me know if you open a an illustration, like a, co-working space for, because this is something that a lot of, especially during the pandemic, but even before, like it's just so super expensive in New York. It's just the whole time you've been talking, I've been thinking so much about space and real estate, like real estate and space. I mean, we live in a crazy city, and I'm including all five boroughs here. Not Staten Island, I don't know so well, but it's nuts everywhere. And you guys have this like insane amount of space. And so to me, as much as it's about what you what like you're defining your capabilities or sharing your capabilities, it's also just like that you have the capacity to do almost anything. You can be almost anything to anyone. And I just think that's such a like that just is like it's not, it's unheard of almost in this day and age in New York when everything is so bonkers. And that you're, giving people an opportunity to, I mean, back in the day, I'm old enough to remember when photographers had studios, and so few of them do now. It's just like
Yeah.
it's not an affordable proposition, but to give them a way to, I don't know, to, as you said, have community and share studio space without it being like a studio rental that they're having to get to, but they have some kind of foothold or
Yeah.
whatever there, I think is just, um, as I said in the beginning, I'm going to rep photography. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to rep photographers, but it is enticing. You make it look enticing.
Yeah, that's very much the idea is it's even just going one step further than I've been saying throughout in terms of just opening up the doors. I think we're really looking at, I think we're all probably seeing that level of transparency. It just seems to getting, even greater for brands wanting to have kind of ongoing access and control and working directly with the artists. We want to make there be even more of a streamlined means for the artist to be able to do what they want and need to do. And so that's kind of the thinking behind what this AYO is all about. Obviously, we want to see the studio used and maximized. We do have an amazing workspace. So Stephanie, like there are beautiful offices behind me here that, someone could very well be working on a project, doing pre-production work, make use of a conference space, plan out props, just be making use of kind of just like being in the production environment to be doing the planning and the thinking ahead of time. And then, of course, having access to our studio for production at whatever scale. I mean, we're imagining this could be also, really small if someone just needs to do something quick, but it feels like a home base for them rather than the sort of ordeal of renting out a studio and bringing
Totally.
everything in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, wish I repped photographers. I would, I would be there. It looks beautiful. Thank you guys. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And
Yeah.
I'm so glad that we actually decided to record this and that you guys went along with it because I do think this presentation, I mean, anybody can go on your website and get it, but I do think hearing you talk about it in a more in-depth way is really valuable. And we will do our best to encourage all the members to share it with the people they rep.
That's
Thank
great. Thank you all so much. I was
Of
really
course.
looking forward to this, and I do find it is so difficult to explain the studio in a very succinct way. So having this opportunity is really awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm coming out there to see you guys, even though I don't want to take your time, but I really do want to see it. So we'll make
You
it, maybe we'll
should.
make it a
Yeah,
social
me too.
thing. I want to see Erin's studio too. So we'll figure
Yes.
something out.
Well,
All
now
right.
I'm going to spearhead the agent softball league over here.
Yeah.
Great idea.
You should.
Okay, let's
Oh,
do
It's
it.
fun.
I love
Well,
it.
thank you all so much for taking
Yeah.
time to take a look with us. It is great to to be able to do this and to connect with you all. And we really do mean it. Like we're here. If you would like to come out at any time, just like let us know. Say, hey, I'm in the neighborhood, or I'm be close by, or I'm near LaGuardia. Uh,
On your way to
come
the airport,
just
stop by. Yeah.
just let us know. We'd love to have you all out anytime.
Oh, it's
All right.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
Thank
you
you
Mickey.
so
so
Bye,
much.
much.
Vicky. Thanks.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Stephanie.
Thank
Bye.
Bye.